Yes, we are. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live session. Today, we're looking at Bach Prelude and Fugue in C minor, the book one. And that's it. So we now have a schedule for these live streams. If you haven't seen the announcement, then you can also go visit the link in the description, which will bring you to the page with all of the repertoire, scheduled repertoire live sessions that we have coming up very soon. And if there's a problem with the sound, please let me know. The dreaded echo problem that we have sometimes. Hopefully that is okay today. And I think I'm going to go ahead and play this prelude for you. I haven't looked at this in a few weeks, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we're going to look at technique quite a bit in the prelude. That's, really an essential thing. Where is the rotation? Where is their wheel? And sometimes a little bit of both. But it's not always rotation. It's changing around. And it's different from one hand to another. And we'll also look at the fugue as well. This really nice three-voice fugue. This is probably a decent starter prelude and fugue. It's not too complicated. It's not too complex. So here we go. Let's see. I really hope this stream is working because I had many doubts about the way it was set up. Okay, I see it's showing on the page there. Okay, so without further ado, here we go. Let's hear this rather famous prelude and fugue. There we have it, our prelude and fugue in C minor. So let's have an in-depth look at this prelude now, especially the technique that we're going to need. And here we go. Voila. Okay, so looking at that left hand. All right, we have rotation. This is continually rotation. Now bar 4, we have this little wheel right here, right? Okay, so that's important. Sometimes we have wheels. Bar 5, back to rotation. Bar 6, rotation. 7, rotation. 8, rotation. 9. Now back to bar 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Those bars, we go back to having this little wheel. So look at when you have notes that go up and then back down, up and down. Like this goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's just rotation, right? So this kind of movement is essential to have this rotation, okay? Now, some books call wheel rotation. This is not what we're talking about, Okay, that's coming later in, let's take our bar 4, okay? Now we have down, up, down, up, up, down, down, right? So now we use this kind of movement where the wrist goes in a circular movement. Plus rotation too, right? So we have a rotation here, a wheel, and rotation there. Da, 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 da. So there is some rotation, okay? Now in the right hand, it's a little different. See, we always have a little wheel. You have a wheel here, and rotation, and then again, wheel here. So this is going to be different than just playing this piece. It's possible. You could do it fairly well, I might add. But we're not really connected to the instrument, right? Now we're more connected, and it's a little easier to do as well. Okay, so let's look at that right hand. Get that wheel. Beautiful circle of fifths there. Okay, I hope that clears up a little bit how to do the, how to play this technically, the technique that's involved with this piece, okay? I have 11 concurrent viewers and nothing in the chat. If anyone wants to say hi, just so I know that this stream is actually going through and recording, I'm not talking to the wall, that would be great. So, all right, let's go on a little further in here now, okay? Let's look at maybe fingerings. 1, 2, 1. I could put a 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1 here. Here I put a 3 on the F. And here you could do something like you finish back on the 5, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, and then you're back on the 4. The other thing that's obviously essential, hi Twan, hi William Hogan. Another thing that's really essential in this prelude is, of course, the machine-like quality to it, right? It has a very machine-like aspect to it. The Baroque and classical composers, they invented this machine music, and this is, this is really a good example. Even the C major prelude. It's like a beautiful machine, like one of those Aeolian fans or something, This is more like steam pumps or something, So what's essential is to get the metronome out. And this is something I love doing because we always think we're like in perfect time, and then you take the metronome out and you find that there's just little micro instances where the rhythm is slightly off. And then with your metronome, you kind of, number one, you practice with it, you go into some kind of trance. But when the music becomes perfectly rhythmically symmetrical or equal, then there's another kind of satisfaction to it that's really, it's bigger than the kind of satisfaction you have when it's just little micro things are off. So do take back out the metronome and you find out this piece is actually, it's beautiful, it doesn't have to be noisy, because that's maybe one of the little problems we might have with this piece is that it could be a little irritating, right? So there's always a way of playing it so that it sounds beautiful, more like some kind of, mathematical, majestic creation, like some kind of cathedral, Hi, everyone who's joining. Hi, Sammy. Glad you could make it. Vigo CKV, Chris Lavery. Awesome. Glad you're learning this. Hi, Bill. Must it go so fast? It doesn't have to go so fast, obviously. You know, like I played it fast at one point. Now I kind of like it slow most of the time. And when you get that kind of, you know, feeling of rhythmic perfection, or like, again, this mathematical genius that comes through in this kind of music, usually it's not a very fast version. It's a rather slow one. You know, I like this tempo. So we have our tonic, our subdominant in the second inversion with always this bass pedal, and then 5 with a diminished 7th, always the bass pedal, back to the tonic. Now we start our circle of fifths. That's so beautiful, right? I had a theory teacher in university who would always say the circle of fifths is the part of the piece where everyone says, that's really beautiful, you know? So that's kind of what we have here. So let's try to remember that. We have our tonic, then we have our subdominant, and then our dominant, and back to the tonic. Then we start a modulating circle of fifths. It's modulated to another key. All right, so here we go. Tonic, subdominant, dominant, back to tonic. Circle of fifths. E flat major, and we go back to C minor from there. So yeah, it doesn't have to be fast. That's a good point. You know, it can be a little faster than that as well. Experiment with the tempo. But I think the most important thing in this piece is make it sound beautiful. Do whatever you do to have to make it sound beautiful and not noisy. It doesn't have to be a noisy prelude because of this machine-like thing or mathematical thing, you know. It should actually come out as something very beautiful. So the other key, of course, is not to play it too loud. If we go into just basic ways of playing, loud and soft, right? We won't play too loud. Maybe a little more when you start the circle of fifths. And less. Can't play and talk at the same time. So see, we get rather soft at this point. All right, so that's it. Anyone who wants to really look at the technique of this piece who's just joined in, you'll watch the beginning of the stream. Hi, Graham, Hellion. Nice to see you guys here. Awesome, loud and clear. What's your opinion on thumbs on black keys? Thumbs on black keys is okay depending on the context. You know, there's a situation, take the F major scale as a good example, you know. If you have, you know, in the right hand, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. We switch it around because you don't want to put a thumb on a B flat. So that's exactly a situation where we don't want a thumb on a black key because it's followed by a consecutive white key just before. It's very uncomfortable to have to bring this short thumb finger underneath the third finger to a black key that's further away, right? But if you're doing something like, where do we have thumbs and black keys here? Here, bar 16. That's no problem. The only consideration there should be when you have a thumb on the black key is that disrupting something else to bring my short thumb all the way to where the black key is, you know, at least here. So that's what you should ask yourself. So that's something to look at. Hi, Marina Kilos. Okay, so let's go on here a little bit. So let's maybe a few fingerings here also that I would do differently. than what we have in Henley, or not really. Henley has pretty good fingerings. Try this with a 4 down here on bar 16. And then 5, 2, 3, 2, 1. Again, we have that wheel. One other thing I didn't mention in the technique with the beginning, all this rotation. A lot of rotation. What we want here, even if you only have rotation, you'll find the piece is a little easier if you just keep a little flexibility in the wrist. It could be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, or something like that. And always that wheel in the right hand. Okay, back to bar 18 now. Bar 18. Oh, here's where I like to put 3 on the E flat instead of a 4 we have in Henley. And then sorry, A natural there. Now here, put 1, 2, 4. That's going to help. 1, 2, 4. And now we start a dominant pedal, right? We have this G. Right, so I like to come down in bar 20, diminuendo, play less and less. To start this a little softer. And crescendo throughout that. Here's one place, bar 23 and 24, where finally, I think it's the only time in this piece, the 2 hands are symmetrical. Not completely, because the left hand has this wheel and rotation on the strong and medium beats. So see that? Wheel, rotation, wheel, rotation. And in the right hand, we have 2 wheels. Yeah, I think that's the only place in this piece where there's no rotation in the right hand. You have two wheels. That's not true. You still have rotation. Yeah, also on the strong and medium beats here. Also have rotation. I'm just going to get some water. Which one? This? It's not there. Oh, is it this? Okay. Would you slow it down, way down for 2 seconds? Which part, Bill? Ask me which part. And if we're slowing down the technique, is that what we're looking at here? This is only rotation. Now bar 4. Here's our wheel. See? There's the wheel. And then back to rotation. Here's rotation. Hope that helps. Is there any exercise you recommend to practice more dexterity between your middle and ring finger? Ernest Eccles. Yeah. The 3 and 4 and 5, those are tough fingers to have that kind of dexterity. Well, anything that makes you practice that sort of thing, there's even Hanon exercises that those sort of things, anything like that should help. Okay, so now we get to bar 25 finally. Right? We're looking a little towards the middle of the bar now, those medium beats, So we have B, and then E, and then F sharp, So that's important. If you only think of the first beat, you kind of get something like this. Not too interesting. It's always the same note, right? And even if it wasn't, you need something else in the bar to aim for. Okay, but the second beat can also be a very, very much use just to pace ourselves. So let's look at the second beat now. So see how 2 and 3. Let's use 2 as kind of a pace and 3 as well. So we're really listening towards the second and third beats of this piece. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that helps a lot here. Presto. Here I would put a fifth. You can just take the D with the left hand, and that frees up the right hand from having to do... what do we have here? To do this jump here. So you have a G in the left hand, and you can just take the D with the thumb. There we go. For some reason I don't like putting a thumb here on the G in 31. I'd rather put a second finger. Here's another place where we have a thumb on a black key. And here. So then this is like, again, a recitativo, a very declamatory kind of thing. C, D, da, 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 da. Sounds much better than like that than something very mesuré, very calculated. These first few notes are just slower because they speak more. It's very declamatory. And now you have this dissonance here. The major seventh, the C and the B natural. So make sure you hold it for the whole length of the bar. Or just simply... Yeah? All right, let's go on to the fugue. Look a little bit at the fugue, this C minor fugue. All right. It's not such a complicated one. Yeah, I think there's one part that's really tricky in bar 20. That's a little tricky. Okay, so of course in the fugues there's different ways to articulate them. And somehow it sounds a bit more coherent when we have the same kind of articulation throughout the fugue. But sometimes it's nice to change the texture a little bit. So I don't think it has to be like a rule, like the articulation should be always the same throughout everything, you know? It's like a beautiful example of this is in the C minor toccata. And then there's this part in E major. Where it just sounds nice with a little pedal there to change the texture completely and make something different. So here, aim for the third note whenever you have that motive. That just brings it out more. So that it it's bringing out the subject every time we have the subject. If you give it some kind of feature, this one also so every time the same So that little thing we had here was, in between entries of the subject, we have a little moment where there's no more subject, just fragments, right? That can be a little softer. And then our third voice comes in there. Those scales only work in the left hand if you get the thumb in the right place. 1 on C, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, 2, and jump. Henley says 4, 5. It's very uncomfortable. And here, try to show the polyphony of the music. You have 2, 3, and 4, and in the alto voice we have 1, 2, and 1, 2, so don't make them exactly the same, Try to show that they're two different voices. Bars here in 13 and 14 will really help. 1, 2 here, and 2 here. Then we have that alto subject coming in. This gets a little trickier, this part, especially harmonically. That's the dreaded part. A few different fingerings. We can have 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then you have to get that there is a little tricky. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, and jump 1, 4. Both are not ideal, right? Let's try that with a 2, 2, 3 here. Yeah, it's really not ideal here. Okay, if you do, whatever you do, when you have these two notes, it's going to be better if you play them really in the front, like this. So you have 2, 3, 1, 2, and then this forward like that. Let's see if I can get it better here. It's a very tricky part. Okay, how else do people articulate this? That would be another way. So you can always experiment. How would that go? that's another interesting way of articulating the subject in this fugue. So, okay, going. I think we're past that. Not too bad. Beautiful major seventh here. And of course, show the polyphony again here. Sometimes maybe bringing the alto different, with a different voice or different volume than the soprano. Or just hearing them, simply hearing them as different is going to, you will play them differently. Get that major seventh. Okay, now watch, show that turn in the curve in the left hand. So we have, that's really nice. See, so we have a scale going up. 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's really nice. We can bring that up. And here, another beautiful suspension. And finally, here comes our second last entry of the subject which will be in the bass, right? So don't forget about that one. That's really nice. Separate these two, if you like. You don't have to. I like them separated. All right, and here we have another little curve this time, and going from the alto to the soprano line. Try to show that. There's our final entry of the subject. Finish a little softer on the last chord. Don't finish. We don't need a loud chord. We've all had our tonic sense here. So see, that's our final cadential movement there. Just a little bit. Let it die off a little bit, not too much, right? And there's as we shaped before. We always had that and then come back down. Hanley says 4, 5. That's a terrible finger. 4, 5. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. Either 5, 4, 3, or I like to do just 5, 4, 5. 5, 4, 5. It's okay, and use the pedal to just patch things up there. So, all right, there we have it. That's our prelude and fugue in C minor. Hi, Arturo. And let's see. Next, we did change the schedule a little bit. So, hi to everyone who's joining this stream. Don't forget to check out our schedule for the upcoming streams and the link in the description. Do consult the schedule as often as you can, because it is going to change and things are going to move around. I just moved Flight of the Bumblebee. We were supposed to do that Monday. We'll do that in a week or 2 weeks after that Monday. I just wanted to, I hadn't looked at that piece in 3 years. I just took it out again and saw that I should probably look at it before we talk about it. So on Monday, we're going to look at the Octaves Etudes by Chopin. The wonderful Octaves Etudes, Opus 25, number 10. Love that one. It's great. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the stream. And if you want to support the channel, check out our Patreon page. We got some cool stuff going on Patreon right now. And I believe that ends it, guys. So thanks for tuning in. This was our Prelude and Fugue in C minor. I think we'll also add the D major Prelude to the list of live stuff. It's such a great piece technically to connect to the instruments. These wheels everywhere. That's really a good one. I like it even more than this C minor one. So yeah, similar wheels and rotations in different places, like we had in this C minor. Every time you have this, you have a wheel. Danse de Travers, Eric Satie. Yeah, you know, that's actually Eric Satie. We should do a little Eric Satie. He's a composer that, you know, so many people are really crazy about. And honestly, I've hardly looked at his music, but we should, especially those gymnopédies. Anyone playing the gymnopédies and Nassiens? All right. Okay, guys, that's it for today. So next one is Monday at 12, and we're looking at the Chopin Octaves Etudes. Don't forget to tune in, whether you're learning it or not. We'll be talking about octaves a lot, and, you know, also structure and things like that, structuring things in Chopin. The melodic section in the middle is beautiful. So Chopin always has this richness of harmonies, there's different voices, different... the harmonies are really rich, and there's different notes to bring out in that middle thing, different voices, actually. That is true. Cool, awesome. We've got people from all over here. Saudi Arabia, Salt Spring Island, San Diego. Awesome. Okay, guys, peace, over and out, and see you in the next video or stream. Take care and have